Okay, I think we're good to go. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Bonjour, sir. Bernard, ça va? How are things?
Yes, thank you.
So this is my good friend Bernard Chesneau, former French national ski coach, lives in Val D'Isere in France. I first met Bernard back in, I think, maybe 95 or 1996, where I first saw Bernard at a conference in Birmingham, and where he showed, well, we will talk about everything that we talked about. I was intrigued. Again, Bernard's one of the people who helped to change my career. He showed me how to align and do sport-specific biomechanics for skiing. I helped him understand more about the feet. So, Bernard, would you like to tell everybody a little bit more about how you ended up Mr. Ski Mastery in Val D'Isere?
Well, to make a long story short, when I was in, although I'm a Frenchman, I lived in Canada for a long time, and I was in university, and I had studying engineering, and I wasn't feeling very good in my stomach. So I went to see a specialist who actually was a neighbor of mine. And he said, "Look, Bernard, nothing wrong with your system. You just don't like what you're doing. I'll give you a month to think about it and tell me what kind of decision you're going to make." So I went back a month later, and I told the guy, says, "I'm going skiing." So I got out of the kind of urban, like, shall we say, rat race, because Toronto, Canada is a very big city. And and I went skiing, and I passed my ski instructor's degree, and then I started to work with people. And although I was using some of the protocols and the concepts that we were told when we were being trained, I could see clearly that there were some things that were missing. People were not getting it, and there were some other issues. So anyway, to make a long story short, I became very interested into non-mainstream views of performance and getting resolving people's issues. And one thing led to another. So at some point, I went to life coaching school, and I like the psychology aspect. And I got a hold of this book in 1994 called The Athletic Skier, written by Dave Everett and Warren Witherall. That's the book you also have, Justin, you told me about. And after reading that book, I ordered some alignment equipment, evaluators, and canting things, and I mean all the stuff from the States. And as I did that, I started to work with people, and we had a really good guest, a really good client of mine who runs a chiropractic clinic in Brighton, and his name is Matthew Bennett, and he has the Sundial House Chiropractic Clinic on Queen Street in Brighton. And Matthew he taught me applied like muscle testing kinesiology, and he started to get more he kind of helped us move things forward a la European, because I think the Americans were very analytical in an almost anal way, and what Matthew brought was a more holistic dimension and a more global vision. And we held the skiing and chiropractic courses, so that increased that entire impetus, increased the knowledge base.
What year was that, Bernard?
1991, I think, or 1990. No, it was after 91. Because in 1994, I discovered the alignment. So I think in 1995, we started to.
It was quite new then when I met with you first. Okay, cool.
So, and
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So with the with the aid of the chiropractic profession point of view, I think we really made things move forward a lot. And then by 1997, I wanted to take things to a different level, and I sent letters to ski school and saying that we should look at this, make it an integral part of how to deal with people, to check their alignment. And everybody threw that letter in the bin except Intigne. The director of the ESF in Tignes was actually having a chat with Michel Gros, who was the man from Rossignol, who was taking care of the Rossignol sponsored ski racers.
Yeah.
Okay. And he was doing their boots and their skis and all their equipment and all their custom work. And
Yep.
Michel Gros gave me a call and he said to me, Bernard, what are you doing next Friday? And I said, well, it's the end of the season. I've got time. He says, come over to my chalet in Annecy. I've got some of the top racers with me having dinner. Bring your equipment. So
Yep.
I went over to his chalet. I saw the racers. I brought my equipment. After my little demonstration with his top guys, he looked at me and says, what are you doing the next 2 weeks? You want to go around a tour with me? Because I want to show you the Uri Kozir and our better guys, and we got to do a little tour in Italy and Switzerland and everywhere, and you're going to see the factories where the ski boots are made and how they're customized for the racers.
Yeah.
So I got involved with Michel Gros of Rossignol.
Because
Yeah.
what were those elite? I mean, those were the best of the best in France. I mean, what were those guys doing before?
Well, it's not so much in France. The Rossignol guy was looking after all Rossignol sponsored ski racers.
Yeah.
So they had a bit of an issue. There was this racer called Jure Kozir, a Slovenian racer.
Yeah.
And he was number 2 in World Cup standings, until he moved on to Rossignol boots. And then he fell into 21st place.
Whoops.
And because he had Nordica boots and Rossignol skis. So Rossignol then decided to give him a big deal if he went all Rossignol, including the boots, and then he lost his power. And lo and behold, the Rossignol boots, they had a completely different geometry than the Nordica. And when the Nordica was working for the anatomy of Jure Kozir, but the Rossignol was creating strain. So when we went on the glacier in Intertux or Kaprun, I can't remember where it was in Austria, and I looked at Kozir's ski and I said, well, he's not happy on his right leg. I was here with a Rossignol guy, and Kozir's ski trainer, ski coach was there. He didn't say a word, and I just said, oh, he's not happy on his right leg. Yeah, I believe, not left, the right leg. And then when I went to the hotel and diagnosed him with the evaluators and worked on the alignment, I saw the problem. Next day, okay, so then I prepared the solutions with the various corrections. And the next day we went back on the glacier and we tried different combinations. And when he got on my prescribed combination, he gained 70 hundredths. So that's 7/10 of a second on a 33-second GS. And what I saw about these ski racers, they're really regular. Like Kozir would within 6/10 of a second, 600ths of a second, he would do the same time. Yeah. And then we changed something on his equipment and that entire bracket would shift by maybe 30 hundredths or one way or another. But when he got on the aligned stuff,
that's the great thing about this alignment is without working with you, it's instantaneous change.
Correct. And it's something that we cannot mechanically override, even with our biomechanical or muscular intent. It works on a different level. When the body geometry is correct, things become natural. So we could really see the difference. And Kozir, so that was the beginning of things. And then Rossignol would bring some racers over to me, and I would lend them some of these wedges in small bits to try to see if we target it right on, so they could put that between, to test on the mountain. And if it worked well, they would then have the boots ground to my specs. And that's what we did with Rossignol.
And of course, once one guy gets it done, everybody wants it done.
No, it doesn't work like that. They're quite cagey. To my big surprise, and the guy from Rossignol didn't even bring the racers physio and all that, because these guys, not knowing what this was, especially in Europe, they weren't as familiar with it as they are in America.
We know it's about what it's all about now.
Well, you'd be surprised. I think, look, we're doing this podcast 20 years after I did this alignment. It's not for nothing. It's only now that it's coming into the consciousness. Okay. So let's just talk for everybody who's watching or whoever's going to watch this now. A lot of people don't know about skiing and skiing biomechanics and skiing everything. So let's just have a talk about fundamentals. Let's talk about boots and skis and just the general what happens. Okay. Now, as fundamentals go much further than that.
Of course it is.
So we're going to go right to the fundamentals, which means that we have not one brain, but we got three brains. And we have this mental brain. Yeah, we have an emotional brain, and then we have an instinctual, a motor instinctual brain, which can also be called the reptilian brain. So we got these three brains. But here's what's so interesting: if you study sacred anatomy, or you look a little bit in mysticism, they tend to give a position in the body of these three brains. So of course they're going to consider the head as being the center of the intellect, okay? Because our normal flesh and bone, I mean, our fleshy brain, the one we're familiar with, is in that head. And then the torso, so the two arms and the torso, is going to belong to the emotional brain. This is what you're symbolically, you're going to see the heart and the lungs in there, and the ribs and all the organs. And then the reptilian brain, which is the motor instinctual brain, is given the feet, the legs, and the pelvis. So it's like this arch structure on which the emotional cathedral and the mental cathedral is erected on top of that arch, the same way you do in architecture. So these three brains are also three governors giving subconscious commands to the body. And what we first want, if we want to be in fundamentals, we want to have these three brains on the same mission. They cannot, you cannot have one thinking one thing, and like, let's say you think you want to beat your friends, but your emotion says you feel doubt, and then the reptilian says, hey, what about, I think I'm going too fast here, I've never seen it before.
I mean, the reptilian is sort of related to, as we spoke with Gary Ward a number of weeks back, it's just like breathing. You don't have to think about it. I mean, it's but the thing is, it's up to the emotional and mental brain to teach the reptilian how to ski. Otherwise, the reptilian is going to behave in a savage way. Why do you think there's so many collisions on the mountain? Because it's an out of control reptilian. So when we talk about the alignment, I'm pretty out of control on the mountain.
The first alignment is these three, these three levels of our, shall we say, of mind, okay, of our thinking processes. And we were talking about Michaela Schifrin. We talked just prior to this video, and what makes us so great? There is perfect structural, in other words, biomechanical alignment between where her head is, her spine is, her hips are, her legs are, her feet are. So alignment.
Let's play the video now for people so they can have a reference to what we're talking about, shall we?
Well, this is before Schifrin, but it still applies. So what we're going to see on that video are errors between these three places, the torso, the head, and the feet. And we're going to see one girl, which is perfect.
Here comes now. So,
okay.
Chesneau, national ski coach in Val D'Isere, France, and author of Ski As You Think. The girl you see is wiping out. In slow motion, you'll observe that she is chasing her skis that have gotten ahead of her. And, in an attempt to catch them up, she uses the head to cut the corner short. This idea of using the head to cut the corner short is very, very often used when we're under a heavy stage of stress. But as you can see, it is certainly not suitable for skiing. The second girl is late in the gates, and thus tries to make
You don't want to be late in the gate
by twisting the head and consequently twisting the entire body in the direction of the new turn, hoping to place the skis back on course. This strategy, which is an emergency maneuver, is the same as the one used by recreational skiers.
Maybe that might give a better image.
It looks like both the racers and recreational skiers feel that turns are emergency.
Whoops, hold on. Sorry, I thought it was better.
The third girl skis great. Admire here how it is the body that is doing the skiing and not the head. The head is merely a passenger being carried by the body. When you'll see the slow motion here, you'll see that this is what a stress-free skier should look like. This is also how you should look like when you're skiing, and this is how you should carry your own head. Your head should just be standing calmly on top of the torso and just behaving as a carefree, happy passenger.
I mean,
thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.
I mean, that's it. You know, hopefully people were able to see that again, but we'll have that video up after.
Okay. But what we're seeing here is it's actually how especially in our Western world, how we approach everything. We always approach it from a mental, intellectual perspective. And if we can cut a corner, it's the same thing we do in our normal competitive adversarial behavior, even in our business protocol. If I can cut the corner, if I can get a deal, we always look at an instant gratification. And that's where that head, like, so when you're late, you're going to say, well, holy smoke, the head says, I want to go to victory. So the rotation of the head is there. So now you've now taken 11 pounds of weight, okay, which is now twisting, and it's now wobbling on top of that torso, and it's now discombobulating, it's disassembling your framework. So it's very, very important that we keep an integral from feet to the head to feet and everything in between is in an absolutely perfect structured way.
As we talked about before, I mean, I was always taught, when I go to ski school again, they tell me to look down into the turn, look where I'm going. You say that
business schools are going to tell you to be competitive adversarial instead of being integrous, complete, and a whole. As I said, there are three ways to look at the sport. Recreational, okay, either at the recreational level, or you become an expert, a ski instructor, an expert. So now you've done the mastery of the sport, but the next level up is mastery of the being, mastery of self. And to master self, it's the actual congruent behavior of these three minds. And interestingly enough, they're going to keep the body structure in place. Also, what you got to understand is if you've gone to ski school and everybody's looking for fast results. So, and this has been handed down down through the ages, is that the tourist being impatient, wanting to look at it from a recreational perspective. So what you say, well, what the heck? Just turn your head and look down the hill and leave me alone. Or you actually want to learn how to do it properly, because it's not the same thing. Okay. So very often,
can we get back now? Again, we're away from fundamentals. People don't understand how skis work. Boots, skis, boots.
Okay, now before we talk, we first now start to tell you that as a body, as a being, we work with these three brains. Now, how skis work, man, I got some skis over there, like I didn't put them in the back, but anyway, to tell people how skis work, we've done it zillions of times, but to make them understand in their being is something very different. Okay, a ski basically contains within itself the very turn you'd like to achieve. So a turn, when people talk about turn on skis, it's not something you do, it's something you put on. It's like going into a shop and looking at beautiful pair of trousers in the window, and then you walk in the shop and you ask the guy for, hey, he says, give me the material, the scissors, the thread, and the sewing machine. And you go, what are you talking about? He says, because I want to make these trousers. I want to stitch them up myself. I said, oh, and the sales guy says, wait a minute, just give me your size. These trousers exist. Just put them on. So your skis, if you look at what is written, there are key numbers on the skis which refer to its side cut and its geometry. And if, for example, I got my little cruiser skis there, like 14-meter arc, which means that if I tilt the ski on its on edge, okay, with a lateral move of my ankle and a lateral movement of my being, okay, I'm going to get a 14-degree arc. It's already designed in the ski, okay? Now, that's one part of the curve. And then there's my snowball example. I don't know if we can find that video, but we'll put it in the link below if we can. Anyway,
just throw a snowball across the hill. Roll the snowball and roll it across the hill.
And gravity makes the ball, okay, go across, do the first half of the curve. So we've got this human being with a brain and with muscles, which is doing everything to prevent the gift of the curve from happening. Okay, and we're so stubborn in our wanting to do things, instead of, if we were just to quietly just stay put and focus on the integrity of our structure. This is where the whole concept of alignment is far deeper reaching. If we were just to focus on the integrity of our structure and let things be, we'd already be way ahead of the game. You know what that does? It takes 40, like some coaches take 20 years, 30 years, 40 years to come to that moment of the right nothing. Yes. Okay? They're all into the wrong something at first. Well, and that right nothing.
Just pull that in a little bit. So tell me, I mean, in terms of your ski mastery, when you work with people and they come exclusively and you ski with you in Val D'Isere, you know, we've talked before. Again, it's tell us about when you ask the people the question, who are you?
Oh no, yeah, well, yeah, I ask them two things. The first thing is I ask them what is it they would like to achieve, and they're gonna say, oh, you know, I want to ski parallel. Yeah, they say, oh, I want to ski better parallel. I want to do this. I want to do, and I ask the question again until I get the real truth. So then after 5 or 6 times, and they ask me a question, I said, okay, imagine you already know how to do parallel. Yeah, I imagine you already know how to do bumps. What else is important to you in your skiing right now? And then often they're going to tell me something emotional. So now I'm interested. So now we're getting out of that intellect. And they're going to say, a mother might say, well, you know, what matters to me is like, I want to keep up with my kids. Or somebody might say, well, you know, I've injured my knee 3 years ago, and now I want to feel, I lost confidence. So, and I said to them, well, thank you. Now we can start the lesson. And then I have this, in order to get them to understand that this is a serious thing, I'm going to ask them, okay, now that you've told me what you wanted to achieve, I'm going to ask you, who are you? Okay, I'm asking them a question, who are you? And they said, well, I'm just me. And I said, no. You are a skier. Now you've dressed up, you got yourself the kit on, you got the ski suit, you're in the mountain, you got to be a skier. You're going to have to be like an actor, okay, who's now playing the role of a skier. Okay, all right. So, and then I say to them, okay, so do you know where you are now? And they're going to say, oh, yeah, I know, I'm on holidays. And I said, you're on top of a ski slope. You're a skier, you're on top of a ski slope. And then I asked the third question, okay, said, you just told me about what you wanted to achieve. Okay, now what's your mission? And they told me their mission, they wanted to become more confident, and 99% of the time they gave me another gimmicky mission. I said, no, your mission is to become to become that real skier full of confidence, okay, that you just told me 5 minutes ago, that's what you want to achieve. So in order to do that, you're going to have to let go.
When I'm on a slope, and you're saying, where am I? I'm, you know, anybody who hasn't been skiing before, okay, standing on the top of the Black Run and the Fast Above Hour, where they run the World Cup ski things, just imagine your side of your house or the building beside you.
Well,
I don't know many meters high, covered in snow. It's a long way down.
Yeah. You might not want to be there, so you could be in the wrong place. So we'll go. Okay, the idea is to make people realize that they're going to have to go into a behavior different from their normal, casual, usual self, because skiing is going to put a lot of demands. It's going to take an average pedestrian human being, it can take it up to 50, 60 miles an hour. It's a gravity-powered sport. You're going to be drawn down.
Even I who can't ski. I mean, if I get a good lash and get a straight line, I mean, I'll pop 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's very easy. Like this. I put up a video the
other day. So men's downhill. The average speed is between 50 to 60 miles an hour. That's over about a 5 or 6 minute run, and they can top out at 100 plus miles an hour. I mean, we're talking. Phenomenal.
No, they usually go about 140 kilometers max. 100 miles an hour. I don't know which downhill has that. That would be 160K, but that would be pretty impressive. But just for the record, maximum speed on skis is around 255 kilometers an hour.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
the spacesuit and the whole. Yeah, I mean
Yeah. It's done in the French.
And again, of course, there's recreational skiing, which we're going to talk about now, and there's snowboarding as well, and then there's slightly more competitive. But even within ski racing, people do not know there's downhill. Okay. Super giant slalom.
Well,
slalom.
yeah.
So
well, I'm not quite sure. We want to take the conversation all the way to that level and explain the various disciplines. Well, but it's like in any sports event, there's slalom, giant slalom, super G, and downhill. The slalom is tighter curves, like gates are tighter to each other, and as we go up the hierarchy, giant slalom is more open, the speeds are greater, super G even more open still, and downhill. So the hierarchy of speed varies from
some skiers specialize in just one particular aspect, and then other people
whether they specialize out of intent, on purpose or by default, we don't know. But it's true that some of them are more the ones who glide the best will tend to the ones who've got a natural.
So from previous Olympic, special work, Alberto Tomba didn't ski downhill.
No, and neither did Stenmark.
No,
but
he skied slalom. That's what he did.
Slalom and giant slalom, yes. Alberto Tomba.
But there are other people who are all over. They can ski at all.
Yes, but I reckon this is a different at whatever they specialize in, they have to be aligned. Their alignment has to be correct.
Yeah.
So
again, let's go. When I first saw you, I mean, I think I sort of got it straight away. That's what intrigued me about it. And again, back to skiing. The ski is flat, and you have to put the ski on its edge to get the ski to initiate the turn. Okay. And what I thought when I first saw you within 2 minutes, I understood, because I see patients whose feet are pronating or rolling into the inside. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, when they were rolling into the inside, if somebody's already standing on a ski, and everybody you talk to will turn better one way than the other. So if one foot is slightly pronated more onto the inside edge already, then you can't then initiate that turn. There's nowhere else to go. So that's when, like the girls in the video, then you start with the knee and the hip and the shoulder and the head to get that turn. So let's talk about that.
Well, let's you can look at your patients just standing barefoot in front of you, bare feet in front of you. But if you look at their feet, their ankles, their knees, their hips, their shoulders, their head, their spine, they're already all wonky. Okay, chances are they're wonky. In other words, the alignment of the three brains is already wonky. As a result, the physical alignment of the body is wonky. And we're going to add insult to injury by putting this individually unique, wonky creature into a rigid, mass-produced plastic shell, which, in fact, it's made on a generic idea of what a human leg and foot should be like. So now this it's not a medical cast. This is not anatomically molded to your individual wonkiness. It's a factory plastic mold which is made in hundreds of thousands, and you're now putting this on top of your body, and now you're going to trap and pinch more joints and create more issues to what you just talked about, Justin. So now we're going to have this. Now we're entrapping the foot and the lower limb, so the whole ankle joint into, and then this is now going to hug the lower leg, and it's going to affect the tibia and the pelvis and everything. Yeah. So this is not really made for a human being. But
and of course, we've talked about previously. Most people, when they're going recreational skiing, they want to get to the ski resort. It's a rush job in the ski boots.
Yes.
So they want to get on the slopes.
Okay, so if you want to convert this to a perfect anatomical companion to your own geometry, a geometry optimized by people like Justin so that you don't have, we remove the strain from the joints in the first place. We keep that removal and then we have to adapt it to the boot. Okay. Yeah. So this is what we're up against in alignment. And, you know, just as you say, people put, if you put the ski boot, the correct size on the Disneyland recreational kind of approach of skiing, just for recreation, just to drift from one mountain cafe to another, people will get a boot at least one size or possibly two sizes too big. So of course the wonkiness will fit because there's lots of room, but the control is going to be dismal. And also there's too much movement now in that boot, okay, which in case of hitting a bump it's
about transfer of force in through the boot.
Yes, and this is where now here is one of your cause of injury. It's a too big a boot.
Okay, so let's just talk in terms of in the fit of the boot and the difference between a recreational person. And I mean, when guys used to come into Sneamy when they had problems getting fitted with the ordinary ski boot fitters in snow and rock, I got all the stuff that they couldn't fix. So, but you got guys who are coming and going, I only ski crown powder, I want the extra. You know, you had to judge what. So the difference between the rigidity of the plastic in the boot and the fit and the comfort. And then let's just talk about then for recreational and then compared to then the ski racers, please.
Well, if recreational means sloppy and ski racer means like properly adjusted, I'm going to tell you, if you spend like 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you've done this for 40 seasons, okay, in ski boots, you can get perfect fit, super comfortable, and anatomically a great vehicle to transfer the load. It all goes together. I am not of the school of thought that you should be in pain, okay, and that something ultra stiff and ultra hard should be confining. Yes. It has to be anatomically suited for you. Yes. So basically, we tend to think recreational skiers have got very low expectations. So ski shops will flog them a boot, okay, a little bit big. So they say, oh, I'm comfortable. Sure, they can have their hot chocolate or their Glühwein in the mountain restaurant with the boots still buckled on and they're happy. Okay, now when the guy wants to have performance, this is where the issue is. There is the boot fitter, which will try to distort the boot and make it fit.
But even just the plastic that is used, the difference between an entry level and a boot is completely different. Not different.
Yes. Well, again, if you put a soft liner, soft plastic, the coupling is looser, so it seems more comfortable, but the transmission is no good. Okay.
Yes. And again, we'll relate this to the podiatrists and the physios and everybody who's working with it. This is like, you know, the difference between cycling in a soft trainer and cycling into a shoe with carbon plate. It's a transfer of energy is what we want. We don't want any.
It's a transfer of. Yeah, you like to use the word energy, but at the end of the day, it's going to be a transfer of consciousness, which is even
okay. We'll get on the conscious bit in a minute.
For me, it's going to be even more profound than that because a lot of boot fitters. Kind of they see the person and they may have a bunion and they may have an issue and whatever pronated foot. So what the boot fitter will do is they'll try to stretch. Excuse me? Yeah.
In a busy ski shop, when everybody turns up, there's a queue, 300 people out the door. It's just get them in and get them out. I mean, there's no real.
No. Well, and then in that case, it's going to be everybody is going to be in too big a boot. Okay. Mm-hmm. So now. Then you're going to have a more specialist boot fitter, which is going to try to make the snugger fit and is going to stretch the boot in certain places. Yep. But there's a third category. If we were to take a look at the 26 bones in the feet, so there are a lot of joints there, a lot of ligaments. If we were to take the time to make that you'd want to give joint mobility back to everybody, and this would be the role of a proper orthotic, so that even though you're going to be seated in a kind of a rigid environment, you've got to seat a body where the which is stress-free, where you don't put any strain on
tension in the system,
on any of the bones. Okay, this is the role of proper alignment
in the system. We want a quiet system.
Correct. And so what's going to happen when you start to do that? You're going to realize that you have less issue with the actual shape of the boot then, okay? You're going to be able maybe just to focus on some lateral cuff things, and you're going to find that the boot already agrees with the person already better, because we started to take out the strain. What you don't want is to have a stressed limbs, stressed bones, inside a coffin, inside something very.
We talked about leather coffins a couple of weeks ago. Now we're talking about rigid plastic coffins.
Yes,
let me just pull up before we get more a couple of pictures or images of boots and things. So we're just going to share the screen again. And because obviously there's different ways, before I share the screen, there's different ways, as you said, there's the boot adjustment, and then we can make an insole orthotic inside the boot, and then we can change the canting or how the boot then sits within the ski binding, and then we can change vector orthotics. So Bernard, I introduced Bernard to vector orthotics. I use them all the time. I think they're one of the best, most adaptable, off-the-shelf orthotics that I've ever used, and Bernard's a huge fan.
Yes, and I became great buddies with him.
Let me just share the screen. Here we go. Now, okay. So we're talking about putting an insole, as you can see here, into a boot inside a footbed. Yes, and then we're talking also then the fit of the boot around here with the boot liner inside the hard plastic shell, which we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that thickness and thinness of the liner. And then when we go on to talk about canting or putting the knee position, if you can see this lady here just using a simple plumb bob, and anybody can do this in their clinic, a little plumb bob, you can see she's outside the edge here. Ideal alignment is just there for the head of first hallux or second toe. And now she's on the inside edge here, which is under canted. And so then we can change that alignment. Where has she gone to? So she's over canted. See, her knees are on the outside, knees are on the inside, ideally. And now she's the knock kneed. So that should help to.
Okay, hang on a minute. Can you go back to that? I want to actually explain. There are two ways to interpret this. Yeah, just show the picture again to everyone.
Hold on.
Of the blonde. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. The blonde. Okay. Bernard likes the blondes. Here we go. Okay. This is it. Right. This lady.
So yes, the one on, let's say the overcanted one, the one on the left.
Yes.
What we mean by overcanted would mean that people would be, there are two interpretations, okay?
Yeah.
And we got to understand, in the three examples here, she's got the soles of the feet dead flat on the ground.
Yeah.
And on the left, she needs to bow her knees out in order to find the flat. If she doesn't bow her knee out, she would be too much on her inner edges. She would be an over-edged skier. And the second, so she would have then to make structural effort on the musculature to open the knees out. It's not the same as somebody who has the knees riding wide and riding the outside edges. That could also happen. But in the book here, this is the example from the book. Okay, he's put I think it's Karen, I think her name, dead flat on the ground.
This book again called, it's probably available, The Athletic Skier, I believe. We'll put the link
that's right. That's the okay. Now in the middle picture, see the combination where if the body's musculature is completely relaxed, sitting with no tension, there's no need to make any effort with the knees or the body anywhere. and
Yeah.
we're writing that flat, and we have the natural geometry that corresponds to our natural anatomy. And in the one on the right hand side there on your screen,
Yeah.
she has to bring the knees in to find the flatness, otherwise she would be on her outer edges.
Yes.
So
And
here's some stats.
Here we can see this slightly more here.
I'm going to give you
ideal and the knock knee.
Yes, I'm going to give you the stats though.
Okay.
77% of skiers have to knock their knees in to find an edge. Now,
just give me that
problem
again.
with having
that again. How many percent?
77%.
77. My goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and you've got about, I can't remember, I think it was in my book, you got another, what, 19%, which are the other way, which have to bow out. And then you've got the rest. So you got 19 plus 77, and you have maybe like 4% left.
Well,
which
of course,
are
that just relates to majority of population have a pronated foot type, and
if only it were that easy, okay? But it's not. So
okay, let's go back to let's go. Yeah, so you're going to talk about boots first.
Well, what I'm saying, and I'm going to answer the question. Here we have like a lower shell, what says Nordica here, and then we have like a cuff, which is the upper part, and it's held by these bolts and these two side bolts. Yeah. Now, but hang on. Here we also have a kind of a central line here, a central line where the plastic is molded. But here's the thing: in the Nordicas that Eurocosier had, the boot was in the factory. When it's in the mold, they tilt it that way. So they give it, and they make the sole look horizontal, but the actual boot is already tipped out. Okay? And some boots are tipped out. Some are neutral, like the Lang that I showed you. Like this is the Lang boot. This is a complete, like level 90 degrees. Okay, this one it's an absolute dead level boot. Okay, and there's some boots where in the mold in the factory they tilt things in, like, in other words, don't make the assumption that the boot is actually totally square. And if you get and my friend Harold Harb from the US, he talks about edging boots and he talks about rotary boots. And any boot that is the opposite of this Doberman here, okay, this one tends to already bow people's legs. The Lang is kind of by default is kind of neutral, and then you might have like a head boot, a recreational head from rental shop, and it's going to bring people's knees in by default. So already the dice is already rigged. So you
tell us about liners.
Okay.
Show everybody else a liner, please. Have you got one?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the liner out of this. I'm gonna show you a stock liner.
Yes, please.
Okay. And I'm gonna show you a custom liner. Okay.
Yeah.
Now this is
takes a little bit of technique getting it out.
So this is a stock liner from Lang, and what it is, it's just generically made in a factory. Yeah. Okay, and it has kind of equal density material on both sides, and it has kind of a foam that molds with heat and will adapt to your body.
Just pull the camera back slightly, so people can see it better.
Well, would you want to go like?
I don't know, because they can see it better there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Turn it around forward. Yeah. So that's a liner.
Okay. Now that's a stock liner. You can't do that much to it. Okay. But we're gonna go into something far more refined.
Custom liner.
We're gonna go into a ZipFit liner.
Just like custom orthotics. The ZipFit liner is made by injecting foam into the
No. It's in my view, it's far superior to injecting foam. So this is a ZipFit liner, but here's the magical bits. Here in the liner, I have a little tab, and here, actually, I've got another tab. And if you just wait a second,
okay, you can see that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Now, and then there's one in the tongue. Okay, and we're gonna do, just wait a second. Okay, I'm gonna do a little trick here. I can even show you what we do with this. I might get some.
So far, so good, everybody, I think.
Now, here.
Questions coming in, please. If anybody's got any injury, alignment, boot fit questions, we're going to get on already to come in.
So, here is a stick with a cork and silicone material. And in this ZipFit liner, you would fit inside this bit here.
Hold it up so everybody can see, please, Bernard. Come camera back.
Hang on a minute. Let me show you. Let me do it. Now, you can see here in the tongue of the boot, okay, in the tongue there, I can put the stick and now start ramming the material inside the tongue and in the right and left part of that boot, so you can add material, okay? And this stuff, contrarily to a foam, okay, if your foot needs to have the material flow in a different place, it can. Yes. This is far more homeopathic, if you like.
Yes.
It's less.
And what percentage of the racers use custom liners?
What percentage of racers?
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know.
A guesstimate, please. 70%, 80%?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can tell you that amongst ski instructors, I would say a good 30% would use.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, right. I don't know, because there are a lot of kids in the junior racing clubs which just, because their feet always growing, which do nothing at all. Okay. Yeah. I highly recommend that you get control, okay, over how much material you can put in your boot. And this is the race ZipFit, so it has neoprene up front, and so up front here there's no filling, and it really holds you here and here. But the skiing performance of this and the durability over time is fabulous. Whereas the stock liner, after about 4 weeks of skiing, you're going to start to feel that things are a bit loose. Whereas here, after 3-4 weeks, you give it one more shot with the sticks in the pockets, and then you don't have to touch it for 3 years. Okay, and I'm talking about 3 of my years.
And of course, again, as you say, that will last. The other liner will last about 4 to 6 weeks. And certainly, the top ski racers, I mean, their boots, they change their boots every 5 or 6 weeks.
Well, this is what I told you, that Lindsey Vonn, the American champion, she's retired now, but she was a great downhiller, Olympic winner. And her boot technician were replacing the boots every 5 weeks, because after 5 weeks, she would put so much stress on the plastic components that they would actually warp and lose the proper geometry. Okay.
Yeah. Well, some people have video of the extreme stresses in a minute that are generated. Well,
they can just look the slow-mo pictures on. Okay. Now, here either I continue on the boot or you want to start looking at the orthotic. What do you want to do?
Yeah. So first of all, there's the function of the boot and the liner. Yeah. Let's go orthotic or footbed. I mean, standard in there. Well, very small standard.
Well, anyway, because if we were to stay on the boot, I was going to draw your attention on that black line you see on the front of the toe.
Yes, sir. You see that?
You're going to notice that if you go on this side, you're going to see the line there.
Yeah, just go
it's
back,
very
go
thick.
back.
You see the black line, very thick here.
Bernard, it just sort of stopped. So let's go frontal view, please, just to see again, just so we can see that it's the line. It's slightly narrower on the outside than the inside. It's actually canted.
Yeah. So what it means is it's pushing the boot out. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm looking is to bow the knees more with this.
Yes.
It's pushing, because if I don't have this, I have to make an effort. I have to bring my knees in to find the flat. With this, I don't. Okay. Yeah. Which means that if you were to just strap me, in the air, and you let my 2 feet then go, I have the feet now dead flat with no strain. Okay. Yeah. Finding the ground. So this is like this is what ski racers also have all these modifications done to their boots. Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now there's something else. Okay. That, but I don't feel like taking all the adjustments apart. But with the bolts back here, with these two bolts here,
yes,
and these two side bolts here, if you loosen them up, you can adjust. You can move this piece of plastic sideways to fit your anatomy. Now, what we want is to follow your anatomy, not force it. The whole idea is to follow the naturalness. Okay, this is okay. So you've got this on this one. Yeah, and this is quite sophisticated. An American company called Cantology actually makes these wedges that are available for Lang and Rossignol boots and Nordica and some other brands. So to kind of coincide with the replaceable front and back, like pads. So, and then all we need is to regrind this to fit the width of the binding wings, okay, of the toe and heel to the proper specs. Now, the idea is that you are totally stress-free in your boots, so that if you were occasionally being drunk and you'd come down, like let's say from the Folie Douce in Val d'Isere, where all the drunks ski down, even drunk, your 2 feet would. Even
the Folie Douce.
No, but. Even drunk, your 2 feet and your whole body geometry would keep you squared flat on the ground with no strain. Okay?
What you have to make sure you do in the Folie Douce is not get too drunk that you miss the last gondola down, because then you have to ski down.
Yeah. Well, they kind of make sure, okay, you don't miss the gondola. Okay, now,
gondola, especially when it's icy.
Now, we talked about the vectors, but maybe people want to see how they actually work.
Well, show them an ordinary. Show them the rubbish that comes in an ordinary boot.
I don't even know if I got any rubbish in the bottom of this one. I think I took the rubbishes out of this.
Yeah, just imagine what's in the bottom of cheap pair of trainers. Just a very gentle foam piece.
I'm gonna show them the one in my trainer, the cheap. Nothing like rubbish.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we've got a strip down here. Getting quite complicated. This is like it's getting to be a show and tell of a.
Yeah, it's okay. Well, if we're educating, because again, colleagues and friends, they need to understand. I mean, because they'll be able they'll be able to
look. I mean that this it looks like totally mushy, and that's more or less what's in the normal ski boot, like ordinary ski boot. Okay, no nothing. Okay, and it's actually no different than what you would have found, just a slightly more cardboardy in a boot. But okay, so you can imagine in a mass-produced plastic shell, an individually unique skeleton, which is now also carrying the baggage of all the existential traumas, and that's why they're crooked. That's why they have a favorite side. That's why they're lopsided. Okay, and now we're trying to put that into a plastic shell and go at speeds where recreational skiers go at speeds in excess of 50 miles an hour.
So let's talk footbeds, insoles, so vector orthotics, what we can do with them. And I also want to think, I don't know whether we'll get banned off YouTube now. I just want to show people again what we're talking about in terms of the forces and the turning and things. So we're going to show Hermann Maier, the Hermanator. Tell them all about Hermann Maier, Bernard. I can't remember. Anyway, let's watch the video. Here we are. This is what we're going to see. I think it's on here. No, I think it's on this one. Let me move it. It's Hermann Maier. He's a legend. Call him the Hermanator. Watch this. No sign. Sorry, here's the sign. Where's the sign? Oh, come on. Here we go. Here's the sign. In a minute or so, he's horizontal on his one edge on a ski. It's just Now he's getting a bit of air. Watch this. Right. He's horizontal. A little bit more air time.
Well, Justin, it's interesting to listen to your what your perceptions are.
Yeah, well, just wait, just because again, people may have not seen this. You know, phenomenal speed, control. You know, and these guys have, you know, they're very, very brave, very brave. Watch. It's only going to run for another 30 seconds. Oh, sorry. So this isn't crashing. That wasn't very good. Whoops. That's what happens when things go a little bit wrong. I think that was in the Olympics. And I believe that he actually skied 3 days later after that crash. And I think he won a gold medal in the Olympics. So that's what happens when it goes wrong. So when we get to injuries in a minute, because we're nearly at an hour now, Bernard, we could go on this for like a week. So where were we? Footbeds.
Well, I was just going to say, like, what I noticed in that video, aside from the crash, and even during the crash, is the actual calmness and stillness of Herman Meyer. There's no agitation. Okay, so he's totally locked in his being. And if you look carefully,
he was nearly horizontal to the ground with one ski.
No, but hang on a minute. To me, horizontal would be like a ski jumper. No, like. But even when he's in the air, everything is so still. It's so calm. There is no agitation in his being. This is what I mean about the mastery of self, okay? Yeah. And you'll notice that his skis never change direction until he's rolled the ankle. It's like railway tracks. He doesn't do any rotary movements, and his head and his torso and his feet are all in perfect sync. Whereas a recreational...
I mean, he's not skiing down the mountain. He's letting the mountain come to him.
Well, he's also letting the turn come to him so he can wear it. So skiing is a sport of tranquility where you're going to have to focus on harnessing your inner calm and your inner stillness. People confuse the fact that they're all agitated, and they confuse, and this is actually what puts you in a state of injury, because you think you have to do something instead of thinking that you are the receiver of something. Okay.
Shall we touch on injuries now a second, because we had lots of questions in, which is really good, and I know we're going to go on to footbeds and canting and things in a second. So let's start with the question. So the most common question, my friend Mark Jenkinson, hi Mark, and lives in the Isle of Wight. I sail with Mark. We've had some really good trips, and hopefully we'll do again. And Mark, if you're listening, I need to get on the J class, mate. I want to get on the J boat, please. So here we are. The question from Mark, and this is a common question that everybody that we see is for the first couple of days back skiing, I always get cramp in my arches of my feet when skiing hard. It's excruciating. As soon as I stop, the pain goes. So is only white skiing hard and only the first 2 days? Any ideas?
Okay, let's start things first. All right. I don't know where he goes skiing, but if he's like most people and
I think he has an
had
apartment routine. I think Mark has an apartment routine. He goes skiing all the time.
yeah.
So
But anyway, if he's taking an airplane and had to get off work and hop on a plane and so the first couple of days, I reckon, and he hasn't skied for a while, I reckon he's actually tense. He's gripping something. He's got a lot of parasitic tension in his feet, which create cramps just from the mere act of tensing up. And that's why a couple of days later, even without changing anything in the orthotics, or whether he has any or not, that's why then he feels better, because he's getting used to the sport and he's moving from that agitated state, which is the cramping state, to that calmer state that we saw Hermann Maier on a while ago. So people always go from tense to more relaxed. This is the nature of achievement. Okay.
Yes. And again, then they also then on to the next question. So Toby Clifford, and I worked with Toby in Snow and Rock. Hi, Toby. And Toby did 10 seasons in the British Medical Centre in Val D'Isere, and he's seen a lot. And he's again one of the most common injuries he would have seen would be a medial head of gastrocs tear, grade 2 normally. First couple of days, usually recreational, not experienced skier, hits a little bit of soft, slushy snow, knees extended, pops it. Yeah.
Okay. The non-experienced skier, they all right. We'll leave the question of the hangovers and the booze and the late nights out of it, but that's also responsible for a lot of injuries. Okay, people, don't kid yourself. The sport is not that dangerous. It's people's attitude, and they get so freaking thrashed sometimes when they go out clubbing, and the next morning, okay, they're in a terrible mess, and that's usually when they get hurt. But for the newer skiers,
and you head on for après ski, it can be a very long day.
For the new skiers, the ones who are newbies and who get a little experience, now the drunks, an experienced skier might get injured after a night out. Okay, now the new guys, they ski slower. Okay, and of course they go from they're nervous, so they're agitated and they're tense, but they also fall usually at fairly low speeds where the binding may not have released. Okay,
so the most
because
common injury that they see is anterior cruciate ligament, medial collateral ligament. I mean, you've got a huge lever arm. It just twists, and your knee gets twisted.
Also, I'll tell you something very foolish.
The binding.
I'm going to tell you something people do extremely foolish is the way they get off the chairlifts. They get off the chairlifts, and a lot of them spread their feet into a snowplow. By doing that, they sometimes the ones spreading their skis can now move under somebody else's skis. And now they're being drawn, they're being spread in the plow further and further. Okay, and that really does a number on the ACLs right away. And people should keep their feet side by side, not try to hit the brakes when they land. And otherwise they get tangled up in a plow and they pull their knees. I get very adamant, and I almost bollock people when they do that. So no, this is no good. You make sure, like, you can get hurt, and it's
Toby worked in the British Medical Centre in Val D'Isere. Everybody in with a knee cruciate. It was like, patch you up, bit of painkillers. Here's the number of the surgeon in London. Whether you're living in London, living in Birmingham, give him a ring on Monday morning. He's expecting you.
Yes, that's it. No, like at the end of the day, if we had been more mindful, we probably could have gotten over that. Now, there's a binding adjustment chart.
So tell people about DIN settings.
Now, there are not many ski shops that respect it, but a DIN setting should take into account the person's
it's just just to be explained, it's the setting that when you clip the boot into the ski, that it's you can put a high DIN setting, so it's very difficult to take it out, and a low DIN setting for a recreational skier, it pops out very easily.
Yes,
that's what a DIN setting
is. Yes, but okay, but all right. So you've explained the variation in tension of the springs. However, if a person, two expert skiers, we'll say, or two beginners, okay, they both weigh the same weight, but one is 6.5 foot tall and has a size 13 foot. The other one is 5.5 foot tall, okay, same weight, and has a size 7 foot. and they're both expert skiers, or both like the same standard. They can both ski like bats out of hell and be really good. Now, would you put the same setting on both of them or not?
No, different weight.
No, I said they're the same weight.
Oh, sorry.
They're different height. They're same weight, but they have different boot length. One is a size 7, one is a size 13, and they're both incredibly advanced skiers. They can both ski everywhere, all conditions. Would you set the bindings the same for both of them?
So you got me. I would think probably you'd need, because there'd be more torque from the longer boot, so you'd maybe need a more tired-in setting in the longer. Did I get that right?
The longer boot needs less setting.
Oh, I got it wrong. Okay.
Okay. Now, and on the charts in the shops, they will take into account. So a ski, like if your boot, the sole length is critical. The shorter the boot, the stronger the setting can be at the front. Now, the tall guy, on the other hand, okay, might want to put a bit more stronger setting, okay, than the shorter, more compact guy, because he has more lever in the heel. Okay.
Let's get back to injury, Bernard, because we're going to run out of time. So my colleague Nick Cullen, hello Nick, we're going to be speaking to Mr. Nicholas Cullen in a couple of weeks, foot and ankle surgeon in Stanmore Hospital. Nick says snowboarders. He sees in snowboarders a lot of perineal dislocations, perineal tendon dislocations he fixes, and also in snowboarders fractures of the lateral process of the talus. And I've seen quite a few talus injuries in skiers as well. And again, Toby would have told me about skiers or snowboarders fractured distal ulna when they put their hand down, and also their clavicle, pop their shoulder. That's the injuries that boarders get. Yes?
Yeah, well, when it comes to the fact that they're wearing only one foot on their board and they have a highly rotated leg, that's going to take care of that.
That will do their ACL because inexperienced.
Yeah, and that's also going to do the. And seeing that snowboarders, I don't know, maybe I'm extrapolating a bit, but they kind of like being in the air rather than being on the ground. They like being airborne rather than groundborne.
Yeah.
So the talus could get some impacts on the landing, okay? But at the end of the day...
I'd like to talk about forces. The forces are enormous. We just saw that in the video.
Well, especially so if they misland, if they go in the snow park and they land in the area designed for landing on the steep portion, that's fine. But if they go too short...
Yesterday, which we'll talk about in 2 weeks' time
if they go too short, if they go too short, instead of landing, if they land a bit too short because they got a bit afraid of taking enough air, or they climb off the ramp a bit too slowly, they're going to land short and they're going to really bang on that heel. And
I mean,
but again, anyway, at the end of the day,
injuries where people have just and this again, this is back to.
I think people. Well, I know you guys are living.
People with the injuries just lifting their bags off the carousel at the airport and they've popped a disc.
Yes.
There's the injuries where coming out of the pub or whatever, or if things are icy, people slip and trip and fall around the resort. And of course, one more question, I think I may leave that. And of course then, but even getting back to the racers, I mean, people need to understand, or even when they're recreational skiing, there's lots of different conditions and factors in. I mean, I made a note of some of them, but I mean, it's probably endless. I mean, snow conditions, fresh snow, old snow, slushy snow, light conditions. Whether it's whether you get flat light where you can't really see the terrain, where you get bright sunlight reflected in your eyes. The weather can affect it. You can get a whiteout. You've been skiing. 1 minute you can be skiing in bright sunshine, having a nice coffee. The next thing, fog and cloud brews in. You can't see 2 feet in front of your face. And I mean, that can happen very, very rapidly on the mountain. We're in a wild, environment. What other conditions are you aware of? But wind, is thing.
Okay, I present things in a completely different view, because to be a victim is to be in a state where you're dependent on your external circumstances or on the environment. So what mental state is that person in on a sunny day? What mental state are they in? Are they in that white-out day? What mental changes are occurring within them when they see the patch of ice or the crunchy snow or this or the fog or this or that or the other?
We've got Timothy Hall. Tim Hall says hello.
No, hang on a minute. Yeah, well, people gauge the outside, but they fail to see that they're now entering different forms of internal agitation. So they're going from a state of calm, like I said, Herman Meyer was calm and non-agitated. So you can actually get down to business, and now they're completely flipped. Okay, they're actually becoming mentally less and less congruent, more and more.
Being in nice conditions as a very novice skier, maybe only skied 5 or 6 weeks, and then the conditions change and it gets cloudy and it's dark. And
hang on a minute.
Regardless of how my mental state and that.
No, but Justin, this is the error. You think the condition changes. I'm saying your internal state has changed.
Okay.
And and the condition became the trigger, but you invited, because you weren't watchful, you weren't watching inside yourself, you weren't mindful, and you say, look, I got to stay calm no matter what. It's still about rolling the ankle, focusing on breath. Okay. But people go into a mental frenzy according to external stimuli. Okay. Yeah. And this is a big error. This is what I'm actually, when I work with people, we work on these challenges to avoid these issues. And so there is no way anybody is going to master the weather, the storms, this or that, but everybody can learn to master themselves. Now, this is like the idea of the monk, which is being captured and he's being tortured. And he's now saying to himself, I hope I can still love the guy torturing me and not move out of love. And I don't want to show any vengeance or anger. And he hopes that the pain in his body is not going to make him change his mindset. This is what skiing.
This next question will tie a lot of things in together. This one question is just probably will take another whole episode. So my colleague Derek Byrne in Dublin wants to know where the most issues with leg alignment arise: the foot, ankle, knee, hip, pelvis, torso. Just curious. And also, can he explain the inside thigh internal rotation difference and how that changes the contact angle and the ability to ski? So we covered that a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But
the alignment, every single component, everything is mentioned is important. But now, where do you start? Chicken or egg? It's a tricky one. I tend to want to work on both. In other words, keep the three brains well aligned, like with a calm mind, clear emotions, which are not into making opinions, and then focusing on those two legs, these ankles and the feet.
Yeah,
I will say that the first point that we tend to look at is that relationship between the foot and the ankle. Okay, we got to make that. We make that correct.
Yeah.
Well, like when people come to that, well, we could do it the other way as well, but it could probably take longer. And I think in the world of recreational skiing, they wouldn't have enough patience to kind of work like a Buddhist monk and sort out their thoughts in order to change the geometry.
First of all, with footbed, insole, orthotic, whatever you want.
Yeah. So you first, and then I
do the cuff. Okay, and then I would look at the canting of between the binding and the.
There's another issue: is the forward backward balance. Because you can
back to Tony's point, which is earlier on, which is everybody comes skiing. They've been flying a desk for 50 weeks or 51 weeks of the year. They're very, very short in the gastrocs. That's why they all get the medial head of the gastrocs pull and tears.
Well, you also look at this. If I'm on an horizontal surface,
yes,
like horizontal, let's imagine that my red baseboard is horizontal there, okay? And you make a really well-structured orthotic. You've got everything. You've posted it.
Yeah.
Okay, but now you're putting it on a ramp. So basically, you're taking the support that you had built. Now that it's on the ramp of a boot, you're taking it away. It's like taking medial support away from the foot.
Yes.
You follow me on that? So now that's why there's this cunning little wedge here, which I have put where the thick side is actually, okay, it's thicker. It's thicker up front here, and it's thinner back here. Okay, it's thinner back and it's thicker here. So that what it does, it levels out the tibia fibula, and it actually virtually puts back that medial support.
Pulls you back. So
but what it does, it prevents you.
Angle.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that ski boots are ramped too much.
Yeah,
it's very simple. If you walk down a mountain footpath, which part of your foot has the pressure, the heel or the toe? Usually the heel. And when you walk up a steep inclined footpath, the pressure is on the toe. So in skiing, why is everybody shoving the ramps, more and more ramps, trying to shove people, push them forward as if they're walking down a footpath, okay? And that way they all end up on their heels as a result. That's crazy. What you want is to level out the foot. That's what we're trying to do here with that kind of make-do wedge. It really works, and the best way to test it is with kinesiology muscle testing. Okay.
Eric's question. I mean, again, it could be anywhere in the chain.
Yeah. So I'm just saying that once, if there is any weakness, if there's like a pronated foot or not enough forefoot support, you're going to have rotation at the pelvis further up the chain diagonally. If your right foot is rotating, is falling inwards, pronated, you're going to see your left hip's going to react. So you got to level everything out. So you take care of that chain. But you might also have a shoulder higher than another. You might have the head a little bit twisted. While you're at it, we should learn just to harmonize everything.
Okay.
Because in skiing,
back to Lindsay Vaughan's ski boots. I mean, she has her ski tech guy or boot guy. He grinds the alignment into the boot. Tell them about that.
Yes. Yeah, he does that.
Every 5 weeks, a new pair.
Yeah, to equate the angle here, to do the same as the angle, they put lifters to get more material on the boot. So they got these 2 millimeters or 4 millimeters lifters to raise up.
Yeah.
So, and then they grind the boot, put the lifter, and then they regrind here to correct for it, so that the boot has got the angle that suits the person. Now, what happens is, let's just say Lindsay's boot have got to be tilted outwards a little bit. But after 5 weeks of skiing, she's now distorted the boot in so much that the angle is no longer valid. They give her new shells. They start again because the material will have changed, okay, over time.
I mean, a slalom boot is more rigid than a downhill boot.
Yeah, they will do all her boots according to the nature of the event. She might have slightly modified alignments according to whatever, like the event, okay?
Yeah. And again, if anybody hasn't seen Lindsay Vaughan ski, where have you been? She's amazing.
Well, no, but but anyway, what I'm saying is that ski racers, in fact, want to make their lives easy. Okay, the general public, on the other hand, wants to make their lives impossible.
And I mean, the French ski team at the moment, they're training in Val at the moment on the glacier. They're skiing every morning. Before what time you said you finish? Before 1. Before it gets a bit
7 to 1.
7 to 1, and you want to check in, you can watch them live. They've got webcams everywhere.
You can look on the webcam, or I could drive up and watch them. Yeah.
But I mean, I know I checked in America yesterday. I can't remember where they are. They're training. Everybody's training. I mean, they're getting ready to get back.
Yes.
And then training errors, Bernard. And that was one of the things that Nick Cullen asked me. And again, rehab from injury. One of Nick's questions was about where are we? Post-training with skiers returning from ankle fractures, returning from injury, returning from ACL. I mean, that's a whole, we've got them injured, getting them fixed, but then to be able to return to that level, and even a recreational skier. I mean, I used to deal with guys who had fallen off the sides of mountains or climbing and things, and pins and plates and stuff, no flexion in the ankles. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that needs to go on before they can get back to ski again. So any sort of things we can talk about in terms of rehab?
Well, I think the best thing to do is to not injure the body.
Okay,
because
hold on. When somebody comes back after a major ankle fracture, talus reconstruction, or an ACL, what do we need to be doing then?
Seeing that I'm on this,
because ski racers, I can't remember again. Lindsey Vonn, she has 3 ACL reconstructions more. They all do bloody knees at some stage. Everybody pops them. You can't.
Yes.
You're not a proper racer unless you've done your knee at least once.
No, I guys like Stenmark never buggered his knees.
Okay.
And he was the best racer in the world. Also, there are a lot of in women racers, for example, you got to watch it with menstruation cycles and all these aspects. Oh, I'm gone now.
No, you're still here.
Okay. You got to watch out for this because they could have their injuries at that moment. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I reckon our current medicine is actually very good at rebuilding somebody who's wiped out off their motorcycle or like ski crashes and things like that. But I think that our medicine
Harley Davidson broke his finger in 3 places.
Well, anyway, so to put these guys back on their motorbikes or on skis, I think we do wonders. And I think the therapy and just the work of the surgeons is amazing. But where our medicine really struggles is for anything else. Like we're not good with cancers, we're not good with genetic diseases, we're not good with Alzheimer. So
Denmark was one of the best ever. And you talk now the person who in your 40 plus years of experience,
Michaela Schifrin.
Michaela Schifrin.
Yes.
Tell us about her. What makes her?
If you watch her now, if you were to be made aware of the proper position of the head with its proper mental governance, if you were to be made aware of the proper position of the torso with the emotional aspect that it's running, and if you were made aware of the geometry of the knees and legs and ankles, and keep everything optimal, you would have that girl. There is nothing, not a cell of her body is out of place. Okay, it means that every single cell is on the same mission, and it's to keep things on the ground, and it's to tilt those ankles, and it's to welcome the curve that exists in the ski. Okay, her groundedness, she's so well grounded, she becomes a recipient and she receives the curves. She's not agitated, she's not twisting, it's fabulous. And it's the epitome of complete coherence on the body, mind, and spirit, the whole lot, everything, not a single cell.
I mean, she's phenomenal. She's 25 years of age now. I think she's double Olympic champion. She's been 5 times world champion. Well,
at the same time, I think if the men are more bullyish and seem to exert more muscles, they could learn from Schifrin. Michaela is a real cat. Economy of movement. All the joints are working in the right direction. Why do people get injured? Because they use joints in the wrong way. Okay. So Michaela, and the joints also driven by how these 3 brains approach things. She managed to discipline like a martial arts woman. It's fabulous. Okay.
I mean, shall we show a little bit of video of her?
Well, you can do that if you like.
Let's again.
But whether people will capture that incredible, like she's almost got like magnets between the feet and the snow. Okay. She's so well grounded.
Let's have a little look.
Yeah.
Here we go. Share. I believe. Let's get rid of this. So can you see the full screen now? Let me see. Where is she?
No. There now I can.
You can see her now. Okay. Let me just bring the volume back up on here.
Has so much success at such a young age.
And Michaela Schifrin is a world champion.
You can see that okay, Bernard?
Yeah.
The young American, the word is solid, absolutely solid.
See, solid means grounded.
Exactly what she does in training.
There we go. And you're gonna, yeah.
Do it, and at a point you're not even trying anymore. You're just doing it, and it works.
She just does it. It's like breathing for her.
It's what it has to be for everybody, not just her. Every single tourist coming on holidays is gotta breathe, like do skiing like breathing, and this is their goal. That's,
And
you know,
trying to make us laugh,
Yeah.
make us smile.
She woke up every day with a smile on her face, and she'd come running downstairs and ready for action. She just liked life, right off the bat.
I started training when I was 6 years
she's
old.
a
I
real
think.
goddess, a ski goddess, that girl.
I was like calling sick in the morning for free skiing, and I'd just come in for the training.
I think Michaela has some of the key traits for a person to become successful at anything. She enjoys doing something over and over again until she gets it right.
I love being able to push myself to new limits, because the only way you can really have a blast doing something is if you do it with some level of knowledge about it and find the enjoyment in improvement.
We were big proponents of quality repetition. Most kids don't like drills, but it almost became a form of meditation for Michaela.
This is what it's all about.
For the perfect wave, I think. At World Championships in Schladming, it was an interesting day because Michaela didn't have her best first run.
I mean, I remember the entire morning in the first run, I couldn't feel my legs. And I was nervous, and all of a sudden I was like, I just want to go home. I don't even want to try to do this today.
And so in between runs, she had to fall back and regroup.
Every step up to this point set me up for being able to win that medal. In order and for anybody to be their best, there's a point where you're aware of everything that's going on and you're not second guessing it. It was like a magical moment where it just clicked, and I literally felt each level of my body change and waking up.
You know, she went up for the second run with a completely different mindset.
2 minutes before my run, it was like the sun broke out of the clouds.
Yo, sunny day.
It all boiled down to that one moment where I was like,
Yeah, but it's also a metaphorical sun
Yeah.
who broke out of the cloud. Okay, it means that she got clarity in her mindset. Okay, clarity is
Let's
really.
watch her.
But now you're gonna watch. See, you just watch. She tilts. The little movement happens. It just rolls the ankles. Whereas she doesn't think turn. She thinks tilt. Okay, she thinks being turned. Whereas the recreational skier thinks tilt. You think? I mean, thinks turn, not tilt.
ready to really be on this path.
In fact, from the word go, the recreational skiers got the wrong thoughts. So it's like having the wrong software.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, she is. You say you've seen everybody. She's it. She's got it all.
Yeah.
And like you said there,
I've watched hours and hours in slow mo.
She's got it's like a surfer waiting for the perfect wave.
Well, look at this way. She's got, yes. And I watch these. I watch Schifrin, and then if I practice one of the things that I capture, and I practice it all season, see if I can get closer to emulating that.
Yes.
Okay.
We'd all want to emulate that. I mean, Bernard, we covered a whole lot. We could cover so much more.
Yes.
Tell everybody more about yourself, Bernard, where they can find you. And well, everybody knows you in Val. You've lived there for so long.
Yes.
There. Well,
I think the best thing for them to do is just to go on the Ski Mastery site, and they might even see videos and of alignment and whatever. Like I have a few things on that site at skimastery.com. Okay. And another thing is other people can also, now we work a lot with some platforms which are internet based, a bit like an Airbnb for ski instructor. There is a British owned and managed platform called Maison Sport, despite the French name. And on Maison Sport, they can look on my timetable, see when I'm available, and check things out. And also
come book and ski with you.
Yeah, and they can read all the customer feedback, and they can read the philosophy, which is all based on the mindfulness, of which alignment is fundamental. and you get an idea if that's kind of their flavor or not. And then there's been a new kid on the block also called Ski Bro, and the main company is based in Val D'Isere. It's also an online booking thing, because things are being taken out of ski schools, or they can still reach me at Mountain Masters and talk to Amy and get in contact with me through that.
And
okay.
your book, Bernard, tell everybody about.
And I no longer have any hard copies left, but I can send PDFs like I sent to you. My book is called Ski.
So that's okay. I've got the PDF. If people contact me directly, I can share it with them.
Yeah, but then you can send them the copies, no problem. Okay, you can pass on the PDF of the book, Ski As You Think. And in French and in English, and those who are French, I don't know if any French people will watch this, but I also have a French copy of the book, and they can ask. Yeah, that can PDF that too. Okay.
Yes, and of course, of course, now with COVID and with everything, it's difficult to know what's going to happen, when we're all going to be able to strap in and go for a ski.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Yeah.
Who knows? And of course, again, the ski industry itself has changed over the last number of years. And, some people may be aware of the global warming and the late season.
Well, the way
was very good. The snow came really well, really early.
Again, that could take like a lot of videos to talk about what would be the future.
Yeah, but of course, Teen and Val D'Isere, it used to be a 24 or 365 day.
No, that was Teen. Teen was a 365 day a year, but that stopped about 20 years ago. That stuff.
Last year, nothing.
Yes, yes. Well, it's changed. Yes, it is. So now they're even thinking of putting an indoor slope. I mean, it goes to show you the cynicism. Really? Okay, you're in the middle of mountains, like
on the mountain.
Yeah.
Yes. I know they have one in Dubai, and they have different places.
Yeah. Well,
we went up to Birmingham.
I tell you, the Disneyland approach is it's going to kill this industry, because if people ask me why I ski to become a better person. If I don't do that, I would stay home. I wouldn't even bother going out. The idea is that when you, from the top to the bottom of the mountain, you've gone through an experience that made you a better you. That's what I mean by the mastery of self. Let's say if a snowboarder cut me off and I got a bit mad or snappy at that border, okay, and by the time when I go up the mountain, the next run down, I'm going to make sure I am a good person and I'm not snappy at any snowboarder if they cut me off. If I've managed to do that, that means I've become less dependent on external circumstances and more the master of my own inner moods. Okay, so I ski to become a master of my inner moods. But I'm going to tell you this much: if you're wonky in your boot, if you're not aligned, your mood is already irremediably crooked. So we need all the help we can get to make sure that we have the best chances to stay in good mood.
Excellent, okay. Bernard. As always. I'm learning all the time. Thank you so much.
Yes,
it's been a pleasure.
Okay, you're welcome.
And I'm going to see
it's
you
a pleasure
very soon. I'll be out to see you very soon. So thank you for everybody who sent in the questions.
And thank you for those.
Sorry.
Yes, and thank you to all those who can watch this. Bye-bye.
Okay, and so thank you, everybody. You can contact me through Justin at Justin Blake Media as normal on all the social channels. That was Bernard for today. Next week, we have Eugene, the secret podiatrist from Spain. Instagram account is Brain4Feet. That will be, let me just check, this coming Tuesday evening. It will be 7 o'clock Irish time, 8 p.m. Spanish time. Eugene has, so you can check out his site, Brain4Feet on the Instagram. So thank you very much, everybody. I think the technology worked today. We will talk to you all again soon. And again, any questions, want Bernard's book, anything you want to know more of, this perk some interest, let us know. All the best. Bye-bye. Let me see, we'll finish this.